What up? This is Michael with MTG Hype. I want to defend Tarmogoyf being mythic. Now, many people have argued that Tarmogoyf should not be mythic. There are various reasons. Many people think that it just should not be that valuable, should not be that expensive. Many people just believe, due to the flavor of the card, it just should not be a mythic. I'm just going to give some reasons why I think it's okay that they kept it at mythic for Modern Masters 2015. First of all, I just want to say overall that Tarmogoyf, not just Tarmogoyf, many other cards, they impact the game as a whole with their value. It's not limited to Tarmogoyf. It's Karn. It's, the Moxes. It's all these different valuable cards. They all affect how we play the game, no matter whether you just play Standard, no matter whether you just play Modern, no matter what format you play, it affects you as a gamer. Now, most people, they see the Magic community as two sides. On the one side, you have the gamers. You have the people who, they just want to play the game as cheaply as possible. Over here, you've got people who, they'd like cards to be $1, $2, $3. They don't want to see any $20 cards. They don't want to see any $200 cards. They don't want to see any $1,000 cards. They want cards as cheap as possible. They want everybody to be able to afford them. I think I even saw somebody say that every card that is over $20 is toxic to the game, or something along those lines. Paraphrase, but basically saying that. So that's what a lot of people think. They think that this is one side, and the other side is investors. And these investors, they are interested in buying up a card, gaining value from those cards, and then selling them. So if they get a lot of 100 or 200 or 1,000, and that card goes up $1, then they resell them and they get, whether it's $100 or $1,000, whatever extra value they get out of those cards, that's their goal as an investor. They don't care about this side where there's the gamers, and the gamers don't care about this side where there's the investors. That's the belief of some people. I just want to say that's not, for most people, that's not what it is. Yes, there are people like that who exist. There are people over here, there are people over here. But most people, they are somewhere in the middle, okay? They're either here, or they're here, or they're here, or they're here, or they're right in the middle. I personally, when I open up a booster box, okay, yeah, I want to get cards I can play with, but I also want to get value that is as close as possible to whatever I pay for that booster box. If I pay $100, I'd like to get $100 worth of value. If I don't get 100, I'd like to get 90 or 80. I don't want to get $10 worth of value out of a $100 box. I think most people can agree with that, whether you're a gamer or an investor. I think also, these people who are investors that concentrate more on the value of the cards, a lot of them really do care about the game. They pay attention to what the big strategies are. They pay attention to, what they think is going to be valuable in a certain format, whether it's Standard, Modern, or EDH, or whatever it is. They're looking for a card that will be useful. There are just not that many people who only care about the game or only care about investment. Now, the other thing I want to say is when you are a gamer, yes, you consider yourself as interested in Magic. And there are many people who will play Magic their entire lives. You know, from whenever they first start playing in their teenage years or, preteen years until they get old or whatever. But there are some people who they love the game, they love Magic, but for one reason or another, they just cannot play it anymore. Maybe, they have a kid and they have to devote their money to that. Maybe they have an illness, they have to devote money to that. Maybe they have to move or they have some other expense that they need to have money for. Is it unreasonable for those people to get back, maybe not 100% of their money, maybe not 90%, but is it unreasonable for them to get back 75% or 65% or something like that? I don't think that's unreasonable. If you go and you buy a car, do you want to get a car that's going to be worth, 10% of what it was bought at, a couple years later? No, you don't want that. You want a car that retains its value for a long time. And people buy cars just for that reason. I don't see any reason it should be different for Magic. Another thing I want to point out is that your local game stores, they sell singles. I know, it's a real shocker. If you go in there, they devote a huge amount of space to singles, and they prioritize how visible they are in the store. That's because they make money off those cards. So let's say Wizards reprints Tarmogoyf, for example, to hell. They just reprint it. They make it uncommon, or they just reprint it over and over and over again, or they put it in a dual deck box, or whatever. Let's just say they do that. Those cards in the game shop become worthless. They become cheap. They become they aren't worth the space that they take up. So what do you think a game store is going to do when that happens? They're either going to take the cards out of the case, or they're going to quit selling Magic altogether, and they're going to take out whatever tournaments they have because it's not worth it. Because part of the point of the tournaments is to bring customers in and people that say, "Oh man, I need a X card for today's tournament," and they buy the card. Maybe it's marked up. That's part of business. Maybe it's marked up. Maybe it's more expensive than on eBay. But that's where they make their money. So when they make money from that, then they are able to support these tournaments. They are able to support the game as a whole. So it does affect you, even maybe you're not one of the people that buys out of the case at the local game store. It still affects you, because if they can't sell those cards, it's not worth it for them to have Magic at all. The last thing I want to point out is that Wizards of the Coast relies on this value too. Imagine if you open a box and you pay $200 for it. I'm not going to name specifically what the box would be. Just imagine a hypothetical box. And you pay $200 for it, you open it, and you get $90 worth of cards in the box. Are you going to buy that box again? Are you? Are you going to go and tell your friends? Are you going to go to them and say, "Hey, buy this $200 box. You might get $90 worth of value out of it"? No, you're not going to do that. You're not going to buy another box. You're not going to tell your friends to buy another box. Other people aren't going to tell their friends to buy a box. Everyone's going to avoid that box because you cannot get the value out of it. Just think about, now let's talk realistically, Modern Masters 2015. A lot of people complained that you could not get the value out of the box to even warrant opening it. That's valid criticism, okay? But you can't say the box costs too much or the packs cost too much, and then on the other side, on the opposite hand, you're saying, oh well, I want Tarmogoyf to be printed until it's $5. It does not make sense. You can't have both. Okay, if you want things to get reprinted and reprinted and reprinted and reprinted, then they're not going to be worth as much. That's just how it's going to work. Now, there are other arguments that are valid. I think that, saying the fact that it's just a vanilla beater, so to speak, it does hurt the idea of what a mythic is. But at the same time, I think the other arguments, the other points that I made, they outweigh that. And also, I mean, it's a special set. It's Modern Masters. I don't think a card specifically, the type of card that it is, I don't think it necessarily has an impact on whether it should be mythic or not in that set. Now, if you're talking about Origins, or you're talking about Battle for Zendikar or Dragons of Tarkir, those cards, they're not special sets. They are regular sets. They should have mythics that do have that feel that they're mythic, that they should be mythic. So that's my point of view. If you disagree, that's okay. Just tell me what you think in the comments. I'd probably miss some ideas, and that's fine. You might have something that proves me wrong, but I think there are good reasons that we should consider the value of cards, and we should be okay with them being valuable. Let me know down in the comments. Subscribe, follow on Twitter, like on Facebook. Maybe I'll come out with Periscope. No, I'm not going to have Periscope. Thanks a lot. Peace.